Hey, it's Asia here from the Fluffy Hustle, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about how to choose a name for your boutique. This is something that a lot of people just come up with, all kind of like willy nilly, or you think you have a really good name, but it might not be as good as you think, or it could be a name that somebody else is using. And I definitely want you guys to avoid some of the mistakes that I made when I first started my entrepreneurial journey. I will say one of the first businesses that I tried to start was when I was back in college. I was going to school for fashion design. And a friend of mine and I decided we were going to start our own line and we were going to call it Vixen. Well, we had gotten all the flyers done. We had even done a fashion show under that name. We had people coming to us to make clothes for them and outfits for them, only to find out that there was already a business. Once we decided we wanted to get a website and make everything official, we actually found out that there was a business that was already operational and a brand that was called Vixen at the time. So we had to um, change the name completely. We even tried to try different spellings of the name Vixen, but they had all been taken. So it's super important that when you are deciding what the name of your business is going to be, that you take some really crucial steps to make sure that it's going to be a name that's going to work for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So, the first thing you want to do is avoid hard to spell and hard to pronounce names. I cannot tell you how critical this is. The reason why you don't want names that are like super long or hard to spell or hard to pronounce is because people have very short attention spans. Okay, so if you make it difficult for them to remember the spelling of your name, then you're going to make it difficult for them to remember how to get to your website, how to get to your social media handles, because the name is too hard to spell. Also, if the name is too hard to pronounce. So if it's some people like to use these words or try to like search for foreign words or words in a different language sometimes, and it makes it really difficult for English speakers to remember how to pronounce the name of your brand, right? So you're always getting it jacked up, right? Think about if you watch any like YouTube reviews or hair reviews, like how often do the YouTubers like completely jack up the brand names, especially for a lot of these hair companies? They will totally mess their name up, and you don't want that. Like these hair companies are paying these people to do reviews for them, and they can't even properly pronounce the brand name, right? So you want to make sure it's something that is going to be easy to pronounce and easy to spell. All right, so now that we have that and why, let's start off by avoiding names that put you in a box, especially if you're wanting to expand. So, a lot of people come to me and they say, "Hey, Asia, I want to start a boutique, and I want to start off selling shoes, but I want to expand into selling clothes, and I want to do makeup, and I want to do jewelry, and I want to sell hair." Like you have all these dreams of having this like all-inclusive store, which I typically don't say you should do, but you can definitely expand, right? So it is definitely within the wheelhouse of, let's say, a clothing store to start selling shoes or to start selling handbags or to start selling accessories, right? So that's typical for a clothing store to sell those types of things. So yeah, you could absolutely start off with just selling dresses and get known for your great dresses and expand into different types of clothing. So what you should avoid doing are picking names that are going to put you in a box as far as like what you sell. So let me give you a couple of examples, right? So for instance, Batty B lashes, right, clearly tells you that they sell lashes. And so because they've so clearly defined what it is that they do, they sell lashes. If they wanted to, let's start saying to sell shoes, or they wanted to start selling makeup, or they wanted to start selling lipstick, it would be a little off putting for people because their name is Batty B Lashes, right? Same thing with if somebody had a hair company. I think there's one called Diamond Mane Hair Extensions. Well, when you put something very specific, like Diamond Mane, so mane meaning hair, and then hair extensions at the end of the name. Well, that's telling me that pretty much I'm expecting you to sell bundles and maybe some wigs. I'm not expecting you to sell me a handbag, right? So if that business wanted to expand, it might throw their customer base off a little bit when they try to start adding other products in their wheelhouse. Okay. Or, like, for example, the boutique I launched in 2013 was called Lovelish Plus Size Boutique. Now, I was very specific about that name because that is the demographic I wanted to serve, and I had no desire to sell any other types of clothing. I didn't want to sell standard size clothing. So being called a plus size boutique was perfectly fine for me because that's exactly what I wanted to do. But if you want to expand your brand and you don't want to be specific, you might want to stick with names that are a little bit more open. For example, Fashion Nova, right? Fashion Nova implies that there's fashion involved, but the Nova part is wide open. When Fashion Nova first launched, they were really known for their jeans, right? The jeans for curvier girls, girls that had more booty, had more hips and thighs, and smaller waists, right? Their jeans really fit really, really well. So that's what they got to be known for. And then from there, they started to expand into other things, and they have a huge collection now. And now they even include, plus sizes as well. But that's not what they started off with. So because they had a name that allowed them to expand like that, they were able to grow. Another example is like Forever 21. What does that mean? It implies that the clothes are going to be for a more youthful person, a girl who is, forever 21. So you can expect maybe some trendy clothes. But outside of that, it's not really descriptive. Or for perhaps even, a store or a boutique that I love called Closet Envy. With a name like that, you really aren't locked in. She can expand and pretty much sell anything that you would find in somebody's closet, right? So she can expand into all different, you know, arenas with a name like that. So I would avoid a name that puts you in a box unless you were very clear, like I was, about the demographic that you're serving and you have no desire to expand beyond that very specific niche. Okay? So I hope that makes sense. Next, you need to research, research, research. Just like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, my friend and I, we did not research back in the day. And mind you, this is like 2004 when we were doing this. So we didn't research. We were young. We were 21. We didn't know. And we really weren't sure like what we should do. We just came up with a name and we just went with it without literally searching for anything. So here's some things that you can actually do to search to see if your name is available. So I'm going to jump on over to Google. So Google is your friend, right? So what you want to do, you can see here what you can search in Google. So search your business name. So let's say I was wanting to use something like Kayla's Collection. See, there's someone here. It's called Kayla's Collection Boutique. Okay. So if I wanted to start a business called that, there's already that. There's also Kayla's Collection Artistry, and there's a .com for that. So perhaps that's not a name that I can go with. And I really just came up with that off the head. But yeah, so that is what could happen. And that's why it's so important that you at the very least, Google the name. The next thing you can do is a domain name search. So I buy my domains, which is basically your website address, from Shopify. You can buy them literally from all different companies. There's tons of hosts. Actually, not from Shopify. I go through GoDaddy. This is where I get all of my domains from. Their domains can range anywhere from like $3 up. Most of the time, most of the .coms and .cos are around $12. But let's say I was looking for Kayla's collection. You can do a search. So kaylascollection.com is available. Okay. So it looks like I could get this website for 12, for $12 essentially, right? So it's available, but that's because it has the S. If I had just done Kayla collection like this, it would have let me know that it was taken, and it'll give me different variations of website names I could have used. Okay. All right, so you can search to see if the website name that you want is available. That way, you can do that pretty much on any website hosting website. But like I said, I always go through GoDaddy.com to search to see if a website is taken or not. So make sure you are looking for that. The next thing to search is with your Secretary of State. So what you would just do is just go back to good old Google, um, and you would do a Secretary of State search. I'm currently in Georgia, so I would, let's say, go here, and every state has like an online place for you to search. So don't worry about that. Just put Secretary of State business search and then your state's name. Okay. So let's say I go to Georgia, and again, I'm looking for Kayla's collection. And here in Georgia, at least, there's not a business registered here in Georgia with Kayla's collection. So it might be okay for you to use the name in your state. So you conduct your Secretary of State search to make sure there's no one that has your name in your state, because once you go to file your articles for like an LLC or something like that, if there is a business on file that has a similar name, it will not go through. So you want to definitely check this in advance. And then the last thing to check for is you want to do a trademark search. And the trademark search, you can come to tmsearch.uspto.gov. Okay. And let's say, again, I wanted to search for Kayla's collection. And there was no records found for this. So even though we saw some people who had businesses called Kayla, like one was Kayla's Collection Artistry, one was just called Kayla Collection. Um, it seems like if you wanted to, you could probably move forward with that particular name. Let's say in the state of Georgia, and if you wanted to trademark the name in your logo design, you probably could. So that's the process you should go through, just to make sure that you are not selecting a name that other people are using. And here's the deal: it's totally okay to have the same name as another business. That's why you can be in the same city, and there's like a, you know, 5 different Lee Nails or something like that, or 10 different King's Wig stores or something. As long as like your business is not trying to represent itself as another business, or infringe upon their business in any way, you should be fine. But make sure you're at least going through the steps to make sure someone hasn't trademarked your business name and it's not registered in your state, and you wouldn't be able to use it. You don't want to go through the process of like grabbing a website or getting your logo and stuff done and getting your Instagram and your Facebook handles and all of that kind of stuff, only to find out that somebody else has it. So please make sure you go through all of that. Also, if you have questions, I would say to talk to a professional. Um, Go to big companies, kind of like LegalZoom. LegalZoom is absolutely amazing. I got tongue tied there, guys, but LegalZoom is absolutely amazing. They are a company that basically they can do your articles of incorporation and all of these different things. But you can also call them and ask questions like, hey, I have a question about this. If I do this, then what? They want to consult with you. A lot of times they will do free consultations because of the fact they want your business. They want you to go through them to form your business. So they don't mind giving you limited advice and pointing you in the right direction in order to gain your business. So don't hesitate to reach out to a company like that to get that type of advice to point you in the right direction. Okay, so um, now, so we've done all of the research that we need to do. And there's one last thing. You can actually do, let's say you're like totally stuck with names and stuff like that, and you're not sure. You can actually there are tons of business name generators out there. So you can just type in business name. Here you go, generator pops up, and all different types of websites. Like Wix has one, and so does Shopify. And I love Shopify, so let's use theirs. So click on find a business name, and then let's say there's maybe a term or something like that that you would like to include. So like for instance, we use the name Kayla. So let's see. So it gives you all these different things. Kayla, Epic Kayla, like there's just so many different things that you can go through. Ink Kayla, Mix Kayla, like there's a bunch of stuff that you could put in here. Let's say you wanted the name or the word fashion in here. It'll just generate like different names in here that could possibly be available. And then you can go and search, and then it kind of just give you an idea and get your brain going. Another thing that I like to use is the thesaurus. So let's say, or let's say I wanted something that meant, sexy. I can go to thesaurus, right? Go to thesaurus, and then put in the word sexy, and it gives you all these different names for sexy. Like racy might be cool, or kissable, or risque. Like risque might be good, as a name if you wanted something like that in your business name. But there are different things that you can do to kind of brainstorm your name. Okay, so now we can jump into this. And then, so after you've done your research and you kind of settled on a name, you want to get some feedback. You just don't want to settle on it because you think it sounds good. You want to get feedback on your name. Now, a lot of people will they'll ask their best friend, they'll ask their mama, they'll ask their daddy, they'll ask a cousin, they ask a sister, But the thing is, when you ask people who are in like your immediate circle, you don't necessarily always get like the variety of feedback that you need, because a lot of times people around you have a similar thought process, right? And so, or they might not think like you think, right? So you could be the oddball out of your family. You're starting this business and you ask them about this game, and then their reaction is not what you would like it to be, right? They'd be like, oh, no, we don't like that. And it could just be that you're the person in the family who doesn't think like everybody else. And so you have to find a tribe of people who don't know you from Adam and just going to give you honest feedback, right? Because guess what? Your family is not going to make you rich, right? Nobody has a big enough family to actually sustain their business. So that's why I tell people, don't worry about your friends and stuff like that supporting your business and all that kind of stuff. Because guess what? Let's say you have a family of 25 people that are close to you. Those 25 people, even if they purchased something from you every single month, 25 orders or transactions is not enough for you to sustain yourself. And I know that most people are wanting to start their business so that they can stop working a 9-to-5 job. And your friends and family are not going to do enough business with you to get you rich anyway. So don't worry about them. Don't worry about their opinion. Find your tribe of people who are like-minded. And so what I would suggest to you to get feedback is to use Facebook groups, okay? I would go to Facebook and I would search for groups. Search for like groups that are in the niche that you're in. So let's say that you're like a plus size woman, like go into plus size groups, right? And then like ask a question, like, what do you guys think about this name? Like, I'm starting this business. What do you guys think about this name? Go into entrepreneurial groups. There's tons of groups for people who are hustlers and entrepreneurs and all that kind of stuff. Just search for it in Facebook. Join those groups and then ask a question. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there and just ask, "Hey, I'm starting a boutique. I'm curious about this name. What do you guys think of this name?" Or I have three different names to choose from. What would you guys decide? What do you guys think of this name? And people will absolutely give you feedback because people love to give their opinions. People love to put their 2 cents in, even when we don't ask for it. So when we do ask for their opinions, a lot of people will give you tons of feedback. So don't be afraid to get involved in the community in which you're trying to join. Because ultimately, a lot of these people could end up being your potential customers. And that's something that we'll get into a different video. But people love to go along with you on your journey. So as you're starting your business and you start going into these groups and you start to build relationships with people, when you ask these questions and all this kind of stuff, people will progressively start seeing like, oh, okay, well, sis asked for her name. Well, oh, now she's asking us what logo design we like and all this kind of stuff. So take people along with you. Be actively engaged in these communities. There's tons of supportive communities on Facebook that will help you along your path. So that is pretty much it for what you can do to select your name, but make sure you put a lot of thought, effort, and energy into selecting your name because you have to live with it. You have to live with it for the duration of your business, and hopefully that's going to be a very long time. All right, guys, I will catch you on the next video. Bye.